I want to introduce everybody to our new friend, Kara. Kara, you're the first individual who I've talked to. You're from the East Village neighborhood. We're talking about a bunch of New Yorkers that were coming together. You got to know a bunch of them. You literally just left the courtroom.
Yes.
You were in seat, what number?
13.
Seat number 13. And you told me that you were dismissed because?
I work in cybersecurity. Due to the nature of my job, it would be extremely hard for me to be here for the hours needed for as long as this trial is going to be.
Schedule-wise.
Schedule-wise.
So did you have a sense that you were coming for the Trump trial yesterday when you got your jury summons and you knew what was happening today or on Monday?
So I didn't, but when I got my jury summons, I had texted my mom, like, oh, I've got jury duty coming up. And she said, oh, I think mid-April is when the jurors for the Trump trial are getting called. And I was like, oh, wow, that would be fascinating. And then I get here yesterday, and there's a massive line, and Trump protesters and counter-protesters. And it's like, well, I'm either on that trial or one down the hall from that trial. And then our holding room had something like 250 people in it.
And you were part
I assumed it was that.
And you were part of that first batch of 96.
Yes.
So you were inside of the courtroom the entire time yesterday during the jury selection process.
So I wasn't. I think I was in the first group of jurors that they brought into the courtroom,
right.
But we weren't in the courtroom all of them.
And you got to be one of the lucky ones that was seated in seat 13, that initial batch to answer the questions.
Yes.
You did answer the series of 42 questions. You were asked the question about what you thought of Donald Trump. I know that they were yes or no questions, but whether you could be fair and impartial to Donald Trump. And you responded.
I responded, yes, I can be fair and impartial. The question was, do you have any prior beliefs or opinions, I believe it was worded, about the defendant that would prohibit you from being fair and impartial? And I said I would be able to be fair and impartial.
Two questions off the top of my mind, and I'm sure Jose has a follow-up. Number one, you were seated there. How far away from Donald Trump, the former president?
Quite close. Oh, gosh, estimate, maybe 30 feet, 20 feet. What
was that like answering questions, including some about Donald Trump, as he is sitting 30 feet from you?
It was odd. It was such an interesting experience because I had never seen him in person before, and you see someone blown up so larger than life on the media for so many years. To see them in person is very jarring, and you get the sense that it's like, oh, this is just another guy. And also he sees me talking about him, which is bizarre.
Did you make eye contact with him?
Yes. Yeah.
At what point? What was that?
I believe right before I started to read off the questionnaire and right after I finished, before I got up to go when I was dismissed.
Did it add another level of nervousness or tension that you felt with him sitting there?
I think so. It made the whole thing feel more real in a way, because I guess when you're on any jury, you have elements of that person's future in your hands. So whether it was Trump or whether it was some stranger off the street in Manhattan who I had never heard of before, if you commit to sitting on the jury, you can change that person's life forever.
And you felt that?
Yeah.
Jose, just down the road, has a question that we want to follow up with.
Yeah, I was just wondering, Vaughn, the extraordinary responsibility, the civic responsibility that we all have living in this country, right, of maybe participating in a jury. It's the only system like this in the world, and there she was sitting just feet away from someone who, as she said, is so famous, and yet in the final days, it's just about one human being. Did she ever take that kind of responsibility and awesome privilege that we have? And did it make a difference by being there?
As a potential juror, you had a huge potential responsibility knowing that the fate of one man rests in your hands there. Did you feel the gravity of that?
Yes, very much so. Especially considering the historical nature of this trial. I think it was a really fascinating contrast between feeling that gravity of not only is someone's fate kind of in our hands here, but the fate of parts of our country's legal system going forward is kind of in our hands because this is unprecedented.
Did you have conversations with other potential jurors about this? What did those conversations look like?
Weirdly, no. Everyone has been very quiet so far. Even yesterday, when people kind of seemed to start to realize that we were there for the Trump trial, there was a sense that everyone was worried about what the protocols were and worried about whether we should talk about it or we're allowed to talk about it or might get sent home for talking about it. So everyone was very kind of... At one point, I heard one juror say to another juror, like, oh, do you think this means we're actually on the jury, after they had just dismissed a few more people. But apart from that, everyone was very kind of heads down, silent.
We're talking about your mom. What's your mom's name?
Sharon.
Sharon. You can talk to Sharon now about this experience. Jose, Kara, a potential juror on the Trump trial, but dismissed this morning.
This is Kat. She runs a VC fund here in Manhattan for folks that are over 60 years of age. She was just dismissed as a potential juror. What happened? Why were you dismissed?
Because I couldn't be impartial.
You couldn't be impartial. So when the judge asked that hand, can you be impartial, you raised your hand and you said you cannot.
Exactly.
Wow. When did you first come?
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday. And at that point, when did you realize that this was a trial involving the ex-president of the United States, Donald Trump?
So we were here on Tuesday from 9 a.m.
Yeah.
But we realized that it's about this case on 4 p.m. We went into the courtroom and we saw Donald Trump.
You went into the courtroom at 4 p.m. on Tuesday
exactly.
and you see Donald Trump.
Yeah, we didn't know before that.
What was your first thought?
I was shocked. I was sitting on the second row, like 6 feet away. And when I realized that Trump is there, I was like, oh, wow. I couldn't believe it.
What about the people around you?
Everybody was shocked. Everybody was frozen. No, like frozen, no expressions, nothing. We were all, you know. That was the case.
Did he look back at you? Did any of the attorneys look back at you at that time?
Sometimes Trump would turn his head.
Yeah.
But that was it, yeah. He didn't stand up or anything.
Were you following the case before this?
I didn't really. I'm too busy.
You're too busy, but you knew he was on trial, or you knew he was going to trial.
Yeah, it's just the headlines, but yeah, too busy to read the details.
Have you ever served as a juror before?
No, that's my first time because I just became a citizen in August.
Yeah.
And that was my first call. And that
so
was,
you just became a citizen of the United States, so that means you've never voted in a presidential election.
Exactly.
You get called to be a juror, and this is the jury that you are called to.
Yes.
What was that? Is unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
I know.
What was your impression of Donald Trump when you saw him?
You know, he looked less orange, definitely, like more yellowish, like yellow. Nothing else than that. He doesn't look angry, or I think he looks bored, like he wants this to finish and go do his stuff. That's how,
Did you have any discussions with other jurors when you left the room about kind of how huge this case was, how historic it was going to be?
Yeah, everybody.
What were they saying? What were you guys talking about?
About this, it's a historical case, and, you know, this is going to define so many things. But at the same time, our job as a juror, right, is to be impartial, like to be unbiased. So it was, you know, weird, like the whole atmosphere, like, you know, such an important case at the same time. Yeah.
Did you talk to anybody that really wanted to serve in that jury?
That anybody that they wanted to serve?
Any of the other jurors that you
Yes.
spoke to? Were there people that said, I want to do this, I want to serve on this jury, I want to be a part of this? Did anybody voice that to you?
No, but they feel the duty, definitely.
They feel the duty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it...
Did you feel that duty as being a new citizen of this country? Was there a part of you that said, I want to serve?
I feel the duty, yeah. I'm a citizen, yeah, and I have responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I feel the duty, yeah.
Does this make you want to follow this case even more?
Not really.
No?
No.
Wow. Well, Kat, I'm so thankful that you took the time to talk to us, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Quite a moment as your first time serving in a jury and being
makes a good
citizen
story
of this country. It makes for a very good story.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Before you let Kat
Unbelievable
go
honor.
there,
Right.
Before you let Kat go,
Yeah, okay,
I'm just curious because she talks about duty.
Come on back, Kat, come back.
If she doesn't run away, she talks about this sense of duty, but it was also in part her duty, right, to be very honest, and she couldn't be impartial, she felt.
Yeah.
And given she's spoken with others who were around her, does she get a sense that there will be a jury that can be fair and impartial selected at the end of the day?
So Anna is our anchor who's in the chair right now, and she's just wondering, as we're talking about this idea of duty, right, and this idea of being fair and impartial, do you feel like the people that you were speaking with in that jury room that you sat with all day on Tuesday, that they can put together a fair and impartial jury because of that sense of duty? Do you think that's possible?
I'm not sure about that.
Really, why?
You know, everybody has biases and you know, stereotypes in their mind. So you have to be a really, deep and, fair person, which is very hard to do, right?
Yeah.
In order to serve as a jury. I hope they do. I mean, this is justice, right? I hope they do, yeah.
Thank you so much, Kat.
This is Mark. Mark, you are one of those individuals, correct me if I'm wrong, who rose your hand this morning and said you would not be able to be fair and impartial. How did that play out?
Yeah, we were summoned in. The judge read all the particulars of the case, how one was supposed to evaluate the law and the evidence. And then he said, if there's a reason that you don't think you could be impartial or that you could be perceived as biased, that you should raise your hand. So I raised my hand because I was certain that even if, and intellectually I would be capable of being unbiased, that because I have satirized Mr. Trump often in my artwork, that this would come to light. And that were I to be seated on the trial, it would be dishonest for me to withhold that information. But there's be no way that Blanche, who's not going to rely on the kindness of strangers, would permit me to be on the jury.
Would you describe to me what you saw with Donald Trump while you were sitting inside of that courtroom?
Not very much. He was a bit ahead of me and off to the left. I didn't have a complete view of him today. He sort of plopped in a chair. You can see the orange. But I was not close to him.
Did you see him turn around and look at the juror?
No.
The potential jurors at any point?
No, there are quite a few people in the room. And I didn't stare at him the whole time. I glanced at him a number of times. But I did not see him turning around and looking at anybody at that point. The next phase, as the judge explained it, would be that if you were going to be a potential juror, there would be more of a questionnaire for you to fill out and that you would be interviewed. I thought, this is ridiculous. There's no way after my online presence, where I've satirized this man again and again, that I would be they would regard me as to be fit to serve, and it would be a waste of their time. And frankly, as a taxpayer, our money, for me to clog up the process that way.
So you were an honest man and you rose your hand and you had your opportunity to see the former president of the United States there for that quick moment, but you bypassed the potential opportunity to try to be a juror.
I did.
Mark, good talking with you.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.